For those people that don't know the story about Jersey Boys or have seen the play, can you explain the story and your characters? Vincent, I'll start with you.
Sure. I mean, for me, I feel the benefit of having this fresh take, meeting kind of the script and the story relatively new. And to me, it was a timeless story of four young guys that come from this real cultural pocket of New Jersey that are trying to break limitations that have been society set upon them to, find their voice and make it. And then, of course, the perils of fame, fortune, success. And for me, that never gets old.
And tell us about your character.
Tommy DeVito, to me, is an incredibly strong character. I felt he was the engine of these guys, the real alpha that got them going, but realized his limitations once out into the world, once their music transcended New Jersey and became this kind of nationwide phenomenon. I felt like he was a little out of his depth and kind of kept a foot in each door.
Okay. And how would you explain the story?
I think this is sort of your quintessential but East Coast mafia-laced rags to riches story, American success story. Frankie Valli and his bandmates were guys from the wrong side of the tracks. Two of them did time, and music really saved their life. There's a line that Tommy DeVito has in the beginning. There's 3 ways out of our neighborhood. You could get mobbed up, you could go into the army, or you could become famous. And for us, it was 2 out of 3. So none of us went into the army. So so there was a mafia ties and success in music, which in this period of American history, I mean, in some ways, I think it was much harder than now. Is there 3 networks, maybe 4 music magazines, and you got to get on the cover of that magazine or on one of those 3 networks. And this was the boomer generation, so there were a lot of people vying for success and what they did, and only the best rose to the top. But in the case of the Four Seasons, they had the bull in the china shop, Tommy DeVito, busting them through. And Frankie had this great talent and great ambition, but really he needed his friends and he needed somebody like Tommy to get them out there. And they were lucky, but they also really barreled their way through.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, you had experience with this, a lot of experience with the stage play, and you're sort of the newcomer out of the 4 of you. How was that transition from stage to film, and how was it for you with these 3 guys who'd already sort of knew the story inside and out?
It was funny because in some ways we come from 2 different sides of it, and we had to meet in the middle. Was in the best hands of the business with Mr. Eastwood, and we. For me, looking at it, there was a lot of work for me to do, and this kind of self-discovery of these new things I had to adapt to with singing, dancing, guitar work, and then the incredible generosity. Someone like John, Lloyd, Michael, Eric were just so welcoming and supportive to bring me into the group, and it was this very interesting cultural exchange. I felt like I was part of some grand experiment in the whole thing.
That's great.
Having done the show on stage, so many performances, in the live, in front of a live audience, I knew my character pretty well, and the actual man, Frankie Valli, over this several years, the Jersey Boys have been growing as a stage hit across the world, have known him. So I had a lot of insights into the character that I couldn't express because I was constrained by one script. Well, when the movie happened, I knew, because it was a movie, and because Clint Eastwood was going to put his vision over the story, that script and the character would both expand, and there would be more to show. And I had more to show, but I had to keep inside. So I was really happy to get into a scenario where I could make him new again. And because of the addition of someone like Vince, who did not have a preconceived notion of what Jersey Boys must be, he's brand new to it, we all had to also make it brand new for ourselves. And Vince was sort of the essential ingredient, I think, for those of us veterans of the stage show, to creating an immediacy and a new spontaneity in our characters.
That's great. Now let's talk about Clint, who we know has a great appreciation for music. How was it like? What was it like working with him, and did he bring anything into the table in terms of the musical performances at all on film?
Clint was our most enthusiastic audience member, which was so fantastic. You know, he loves music, he knows music, so he insisted that everything be live also, which was really great because you know you can see music on film that you know was pre-recorded and the actor is lip syncing and you can sort of buy into the illusion, but something's sort of lost there. It's a little synthetic. It doesn't feel as immediate. And well, you know, Clint Eastwood films are immediate. They're real. They're raw. They're authentic. And I think that you would have really lost something if during the musical sequences suddenly you got that subconscious feeling that something was a little off. You know, so he recorded everything live. We had an audience full of extras who were loving and enjoying our live performances. We had all of Clint's crew who were loving and enjoying the fact that they were on the 20 years running with Clint, and this was their first movie where they're shooting musical numbers. Clint himself was dancing along to our musical numbers behind the camera. So I think he had a great time on this film, and because our director was having such a great time, we also had an even better time than we would have otherwise.
Yeah. Now, why do you think the story resonates so well with so many people, and it has for a long time? Why do you think that is? What is it about this story that just people love and love to get behind?
Well, you saw the stage show. What resonated with you?
Well, I mean, it starts with the music, right? Because that's the most
Right.
obvious thing. But as you open that up and you get to know the four guys, or how they arrived at having four guys, you just go deeper and deeper into understanding the risks they had to take, that struggle to succeed, and at kind of a charming time in American history. The 50s and 60s, there's a glamour attached to it, I think, looking back on it, and also that American fascination of the mob and the mafia, and we just get a flicker of it in The Godfather with Don Corleone and Johnny Fontaine, and how these gangsters would maybe sponsor some talented kids from the neighborhood, and in this case it's a true story. So I think it's just fascinating for hopefully for viewers to take that in.
I think there's something technically about the storytelling of the movie that also is, really helps an audience enjoy it, which is that from the opening frame of the movie, starting with Tommy DeVito, the characters are talking right to you, drawing you in. You're their friend. You're on their side because they are connecting with you. So since the characters you're watching on screen are also taking you through the story and holding your hand through the story, when we succeed as a band, your friends are succeeding as a band. And I think that technique really kind of takes the audience along with the story in a very personal way.
It's a lot of vitality too, versus traditional narration, and I think it pays homage to the stage production in general. So it really kind of serves both worlds.
That's one element that thankfully was not lost at all from the stage production. That the idea of these guys personally taking you through their story.